Okay, so we've started recording. Uh, maybe, maybe one of the things we should start with is a regulation on 6 Wood Avenue. I don't know if you, Bill, if you and Lee read what Brian passed along from that attorney, and I actually talked to Brian had quite some time on that one, and he said, we're probably in a spot because we don't have our rules in place,
Right.
stuck with what Title V tells us we've got authority to do, and I looked at the two issues. I don't know how we're going to talk about the attorney for the owner of Wood of 6 Wood Avenue says he'd be willing to pump the tank, but if you look at it, it looks like a 3-bedroom house. And I said, we posed that regulation because we knew any 1,000-gallon tanks were all, besides being undersized compared to the current Title V, we knew they were all 50 years old and that they'd be no good. And so this guy is really saying, let's look at what you've got for statutory authority and kind of challenge us. And I said, see, from Brian's standpoint, I said, well, you could look at the tank, the 1,000 gallons, and say it's on a 3-bedroom house, and Title V says that a septic tank shall have at least 2 days dwell in it. So that would be, 660. Actually, even if we did it on the way we do it, it would be 880. Yep. So it's not, it's not below the 2 days.
Yep. Pardon me, Dick. I'll be back in about 60 seconds.
Okay.
Hold on, please.
You're quietly. How are you?
Good. How's everything this evening?
Good, except I've got the flu, and I'd like to try to keep our
not good
meeting again short.
Yeah, sure. Diane Percy, 7:30. So yeah, 20 of 8, we should be out of here.
Yeah.
Depending on what Tim McGinnis has for us.
Well, I went over stuff with Tim. I don't know what Tim's gonna give us. I don't know where Bill left us, but the issue with 6 Wood Avenue is I shouldn't have the discussion without Bill being here.
Okay, yeah, no worries. We'll get it.
Well, we can while he's waiting. While we're waiting, we certainly could go through our minutes. How are you with the minutes for February 25th? I didn't have any changes, Lee.
No, I saw that. I'm good as well on that.
Okay. Colleen, so you can put that Bill wasn't part of this discussion, but Lee and I both said it's okay.
Yeah.
We've got the next one is your time sheet, Colleen, and my stuff is it was in order. There it is. Excuse me a little bit. So Lee, Colleen, for this period for the March 8th is a normal 70 hours. Are you okay with that?
Yes, thank you.
I am too, Colleen, so that's approved.
Okay.
The next one is accounts receivable, and it totals this period $420. Of that, 160 from Board of Health permits, 110 from Board of Health licenses, 150 for Board of Health fees, and that's it, totaling $420. Are you okay with that, Lee?
Yes, I am, thank you.
Colleen, I am too,
Okay,
so that's approved.
all right.
The next one looks like a part of Quill's order. It's a schedule of bills payable. We've got Quill office supplies for $78.05, and then we've got copy paper for $54.99, totaling $133 and 4 cents. That we had already approved the spending of that. Are you okay with that, Lee?
Yes, yep.
I am too. So while you're gone, we decided to move a little further forward.
Okay, no worries.
So then I'll stop. I'll go back. So anyways, the 1,000-gallon tank is more than the 2 days capacity. So from a standpoint, is it patently too small? It looks like for that house it's not. But what the reason we said about those tanks and replacing them is that putting a concrete tank in the ground for 50 or 70 years is most definitely going to be corroding. And so this attorney said, gee, I'd be willing to pump it. But from my standpoint, well, I think that Title V already said that they had drop-in baffles that were corroded. I don't know whether they replaced it, but my feeling would be if that's what you want to do, someone ought to be looking at the inlet and the outlet and see if the joint, so you pump it out and make sure you look at the inside, but you then look at the outsides and look at the top and the sides and see if there's any signs of cracking or corroding.
Yeah, Dick, I read the attorney's letter from Bacon and Wilson, and he kind of, he seemed rather confident that the tank would be in fine structural shape. So let him hire a structural engineer.
Yeah, I think what happens is that I think Neil even said that he saw a crack on the top of the tank, but
Okay.
so Lee and Bill, it sounds to me like what happens is you say, okay, pump the tank out, and then
And let's
dig
look at
around
the tank,
the
that's all.
the sides of it and make sure that there's no signs of corrosion or cracking, and with someone there to look at it. And
Yeah, have an independent person look at the tank and write up an assessment, that's all.
yeah. But I did look at the lot today. I don't know whether the system's in the front. I'm guessing in the front. It looks like it's a fill lot, and it looks like they probably were in rock. So I don't know where they are, but as long as they're out there digging, then it seems reasonable that the guy digging, looking at the tank, ought to dig and find out where the water table is at the same time.
Yeah, and I hope his attorney is cognizant that all these procedures are going to expend X amount of dollars and still may result in a tank component failure.
In fact,
So
the reason
what
we
he's gonna
said we'd replace the thousands is because we're sure they were going to all fail. So I guess that's what's going
Right.
to happen.
Well, yeah, he's gambling with his clients' finances at this point. So
So it
tank
sounds like that's
replacement-
what we're saying is you're going to have to dig up that tank and look at it. There's a joint on that tank on the side. You've got the inlets and the outlets, and look at the baffles to see if those are, do they have T's in there? Has anybody ever fixed them? So he's going to do some work and pump it out. And then we could dig
Yeah.
the hole to look at where the water table is, and so it sounds like we'll have to get maybe you want me to get back to Brian? And since it was come this lawyer dealing with lawyer, that I get back to Brian and said, here's what we're saying, Brian, what do you think about it? Is that what you want me to do?
Yeah, and again, I talked to Brian about it too as well, Dick. And again, unless these regs were promulgated through the Secretary of State's office, if we ever went to court, we'd lose. However, even if we went to court, we'd spend a pile of taxpayer money. The lawyer on behalf of the homeowner would spend a pile of money. So instead of spending all that money, like you say, we'll come to a mutually acceptable agreement and just be done with it. And I think that's
Yeah,
the way
and
to
then
do
we'll
it.
get, and then we get our regulations published the way they're supposed to, and
That's right.
we'll be done with it.
That's right.
So,
Okay.
but what Brian did caution, and I talked to Colleen about it, is that on all of these, since the regulation says that the Board of Health can determine what needs to be replaced because of anything we feel is environmentally compromised, it just means that what we have to look at each situation and say, yeah, that's what we think. And then we're 100% in compliance with the regulation. What we can't do is we can't go and say, you know, the board already said these 1,000-gallon tanks are all going to be corroded and just replace them. We can't say that until we have a regulation. So, okay. Before, and I know we're already, well, we've used this on regulations right now. So do you think before the next meeting, you guys, Lee and Bill, could take a look at the two drafts that I sent out on one was on the perk test and one was on Title V inspections. If we could maybe
Yeah, I looked at them real quick, Dick. I got a couple of potential language changes, but I'll have something for next meeting as well. Sure.
But the other Bill is I did spend a bunch of time looking at the stuff that you sent out, and boy, it certainly would make you believe that on these Title V inspections that our distance shouldn't be 3 feet. It should be maybe 2 feet instead of 3 feet.
Well, anecdotally, Dick, and this was 30 years ago. I had a sit down with Veneman one day. We had coffee, and he says, "I'm pushing for DEP within the next 10 years." And this was back in '95. He says, "Within the next 10 years, I hope they drop it to 2 feet to be more consistent with the state of Connecticut." Never happened. It's been 30 years.
So I think as if we look at it next week, we can come up with that for we'll choose what we're going to have for spacing.
Yes.
The other thing is the only thing, Bill, on the literature that you gave us, they didn't use their conclusions came from a system that was dosed every 6 hours. It was not really set up the way a household would use it. The main one, they're different, a couple of them. It is interesting though that if you look at nutrients, they really looked at viruses.
Right.
And didn't do very much for nutrients, that's for sure.
Well, no, it did for BOD. BOD, it knocked down. And TSS, it obviously knocked down some of the nutrients. It did not do anything for nitrates and nitrites, but none of these systems are going to do so unless you do advanced treatment.
Right.
So increasing the spacing does nothing for nitrates, Dick. It's just going to percolate down.
Yeah, that's what it says. It goes right through.
Yeah, so it's a
so
moot point. We could have a 10-foot separation and you're still not going to affect the nitrates and the nitrites. That's right.
I ended up, just as a point of record, or a point of, I guess it's a point of record, is that the guy that's working on the 2 fourplexes on New Ludlow Road is having trouble trying to find, he's close to the brook. He's in trouble with, he was trying to put a system in the front, and there's some space problems. And I got back to him today and I said, do something maybe way out and come back to the Board of Health. I said, what would happen if you put a single, so he was going to end up with either two big tanks or multiple big tanks and two different pump chambers. And I said, what would happen if you actually went with the advanced treatment tank and dealt with the nitrates, have a single tank that serves both of those places, maybe in the backyard. And I said, instead of going with two pump chambers, maybe you could do one pump chamber with three pumps and then in the front of the building, you put two of maybe the Elgin system. So you end up treating the waste in your tank, and then come back to us and say, I'm going to dose these two systems. And instead of having four pumps, I'll have three pumps so that we can run them back and forth. And then come back to us and say, the Elgin's got a little bit of advanced treatment, and maybe you come to the Board of Health there and say, yeah, but my advanced treatment tank and that advanced to the Elgin, now I'd really like to look at a 2-foot separation system. And I said, I don't know what it's going to cost you or whatever, but it would be kind of neat.
Oh, yeah. Infiltrator makes another one called the EcoPod, which is very similar. It's got a layer of processed material below the invert of the pipes, and that 6-foot layer is what they claim, and I guess they got certification and approval to do it. That is their advanced treat. It's a passive advanced treatment system, which is unusual.
Wow.
It's unusual. It's called the EcoPod.
Wow.
In fact, Infiltrator on the little webinar series, they have a 1-hour lecture on it. You might want to watch it.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been taking these little 1-hour webinars for my soil evaluator license, and it's kind of interesting because Infiltrator has essentially bought out 4 or 5 companies, so everybody's under the umbrella of Infiltrator these days, except Elgin.
So anyway, so if we do that and we've got, if you look at the systems that I have, let's go to that because Alan's going to be with us, is with us. But what we actually have is Alan had 2 things that it shows up in 2 different spots. One is just an extension he's asking for, but the other is on 114 Morgan Street. So going down Morgan Street, you go from East Street, go across New Ludlow Road, and on the right side, almost to Westfield. And it's new construction, complete system, 3-bedroom house. The fee is paid, the review is complete. Mainly a wooded lot. It's level, it's 9.5 acre or 9+ acres. Deep sands, 22-inch water table, wetlands, and also it's got a flood zone that comes in and kisses the property.
Yeah.
The issues of the water table and the flood zone, the design is it shouldn't say existing, but it's a 1,500 2-gallon 2-compartment tank with an outlet filter. It's got 3 foot by 40 foot by 12-inch effective sidewall trenches. They're not vented, they're level. 444 gallons provided, 440 required, fill is required. Reserve area is provided between and adjacent to the trenches. You got 5-foot water table separation. Ballast isn't required. You got the whole system up in the air. The septic tank and the SAS separations are other wells and wetlands more than 100 feet, and there's no activity in the flood zone. Just have to discuss the trench permit and the fill. It's a pretty straightforward fill system in a really wet, sandy area.
Dick, how far is he from Stony Brook?
He is Stony Brook still is to the east of this, and I would say he is over 500, less
Oh,
than 1,000.
okay. Yeah, he's on the
But
other side. Okay.
his issue is that on that west side of Morgan Street is that it goes out into that whole big wetland that comes
Yes,
out and pisses near the old entrance to the landfill, and it goes, if you go from there to what used to be Renwell, I don't know what that is, but that going from there, going all the way back into Westover, it's all a big wetland in there.
right. Yeah. Just incidentally, there's a fellow that was proposing to do automobile racing out there. They came to the
Really?
commission. Yeah, they came to the commission about 5 years ago, and they didn't get too far, but they were planning on doing stock car racing out there, believe it or
Wow.
not. But they had a tremendous amount of wetland to cross to get to the dry area, of which there is some
Wow.
out there. Anyway, but that never happened.
So are we okay with this, Lee?
Yeah,
You okay
yeah.
with this?
That's fine. That's fine.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
And I am too,
Yeah.
Colleen.
Okay,
Alan also submitted a request for actually filing a perk test that I think you went out with him, Lee, at some point. It's on lot 17-4 Bachelor Street. It's actually across from Mayhew's house, somewhere in that area. And it's in one of these little spots that it's like a little kettle of sand. And he just submitted the thing. This was a redo. These are deep holes, redo of a 2023 perk. In fact, I just don't understand why this isn't just an extension. This is
I thought it was quite a bit older than that, but I could be mistaken.
that's what I'm looking at, Lee. Because I went in there with John Kaminsky.
Was this with John Kopinski from Ludlow some years back,
Yeah, but
originally?
this one,
Oh, that's on Morgan
says it
Street.
can-
That's like 106 Morgan Street on the right. Yes.
oh no, it's not. It's on Bachelor Street.
Oh, okay.
This is across
In
from
the
the
300
sand
block.
pit. The sand pit. I'm just I'm looking at the speech that he sent us. And I think Alan just said he was looking for an extension. And I think he told me, Lee, that you actually witnessed it with him. And it was a duplicate of what Kaminsky did. Kaminsky. And I'm trying to see if it even says that you're good. When I looked it up, I think I must have gone to yeah, it was you. And it was on the April 19th, 2023. And it was the same result as I had gotten with John. So all he's doing is asking for the perk to be extended until April 19th, 2027. That's
So
what we
just
always do.
using- So he re-perked what John Kopinski perked some years prior to that,
Right.
duplicate data, and he just wants to move it forward for the homeowner.
Yeah, and all he's saying is like he did it in 2023 and he'd like it to be extended out to 2027. That's what we do all the time.
Sure, yeah.
So we
Okay.
should do this. Are you okay with that, Bill?
Yeah, that's fine. Yep.
The next one I've got is, this is Tim McGinnis on 1 Jennifer Drive.
I'm on the phone here.
Okay, so I'm not sure what Tim is gonna, or was able to change. The issue that the main one that's sitting there is that he had dropped the design down to a 4-bedroom, and Tim and I talked about moving it up to 5-bedroom, and he said he was gonna do that. But the design review is complete. It's a mostly cleared, grassy, almost an acre lot. Slopes down a little bit to the south. Deep sands, 39-inch water table. Issues of the high water table. Also the house expansion was in there that moved from a 3-bedroom to a potential 5-bedroom, and it would have required a Title V septic upgrade. The perk test ended up being longer than 2 minutes an inch, but we called it 2 minutes an inch because it was class 1 soil. No original design information at the Granby Board of Health. What our board did at our last meeting is we said that we didn't want a pump, and that Tim should end up getting the system absolutely as high as he could get it, and end up with still using the Elgin system, which he did, and go with trenches, which he did. And so what he's got is he will be adding it to get to our 5-bedroom requirement. That's the 650. It's now 3 trenches that are 9 units each, Elgin trenches. He's got a 4-foot water table separation. He could not get the 5-foot. The maximum groundwater separation, and he did do the maximum groundwater separation without pumping. The new 1,500-gallon 2-compartment tank with an outlet filter. Right now, he's 550 versus 650 required. There is no reserve area. Fill is required. Permission is, and Tim was going to get in touch with Dave DeRocher. There's a drainage easement to the south of the lot. And he was going to talk to Dave DeRocher just so we could throw a little sand in there, a little fill in there, so we could get his 15 feet instead of 10 feet of breakout protection.
I did talk to him today.
You did?
Yeah, I did. He said fine.
Okay, that's what I expected.
Yeah, he has no problem.
Okay.
So
ballast is-
when we say drainage easement, Dick, or Tim, are we talking about a drain?
No, it's
drain
like
on
just,
East Street?
it's not a drain. It's just grass. But from the property line, I believe maybe north, it's 20 feet wide. But it's just that front section of grass. There's no underground pipes. You know, there's nothing there.
Okay, so it
Yeah,
doesn't
so-
end up
so
in a
the-
catch basin
Does
anywhere.
the town of Granby hold the easement through the easement holder?
I believe it says, it's the information that I received, it says drainage easement in favor of Granby, Mass.
Okay,
I'm
so
assuming-
that means, yeah, so Granby DPW reserves the right at a later date to put some sort of drain
Right.
system in there. So it's essentially
Right,
buyer
yeah.
beware. I guess you could put something in there, but don't be surprised if it gets dug up someday.
Okay.
Not what
You know,
Tim
I'll put-
isn't. But Tim is only putting a little sand on the top, so it's only gonna move in
Oh, yeah, the
about,
sand on the top's not a problem, but if you wanted to put a pipe or something in there, you'd have to be careful. That's right.
yeah, he's not
Yeah.
doing that. So
Okay,
all
so
he's
yeah,
doing is,
Phil's not a problem there.
he's encroaching
okay.
about 5 feet. And so the tail end of the soil is 5 feet onto the easement. And as you come back at the 3-to-1 slope, where he hits the edge of the easement, he's only up about 15 inches. So you're not gonna be able to see he's done anything there.
Yeah. The-
So
the
I
only
got
the
you.
next is
Okay.
that,
The only thing Dave
what-
might do is to put a swale or a ditch or something in there at a later date, but I would probably run it by David and just get his blessing on this.
well, he did already.
I did. I have already done that. He said, fine, no problem.
Okay, good.
I
The
can put that,
ballast is
No, I can put
required
that
for
in-
the,
go ahead.
ballast is required for the septic tank. The existing tank will be pumped, removed, and filled and compacted because it's under the driveway. Silt control is specified. Tim is going to use Schedule 80 PVC pipe underneath the driveway because the new tank is outside. It's to the south of the driveway instead of under it. 2 of the existing trenches will be removed. He's got a slight swale, just a slight one, to let the water drain from that SAS top just around the edge so it clears the garage. We've got the septic tank and SAS separation to the wells and the wetlands more than 100 feet. What Tim has probably made the changes already, that he's got to put a note in that we require a trench permit.
Yeah, I got
Yeah, one question, Dick. Are there any gutter downspouts in the way causing potential problems?
I did not notice any, although there could be. I could ask the owner.
Yeah, again, if there's a potential problem with gutter runoff,
Right.
going on top of the
That's why-
system.
Right, that's why I put that grassy swale in there. Just,
Well, that's what I thought. That's why I asked that question.
yeah, there's gonna be runoff from the roof and the driveway going down toward the leach field. So I have the grassy swale, maybe, 3 feet wide and, 4 inches deep or something,
Yeah, okay.
just enough to catch the water and shoot it off in the easterly and westerly direction.
So how far is this grassy swale from the nearest trench?
It's about 5 feet. It's almost it's at the edge of the sand. I'm putting a whole bunch of Title V sand in there, so it's going to be at the edge of the 5 foot distance of the the Title V sand. It's like right next to the shed.
Above,
If it
Bill,
was
it's
me,
above the breakout level.
Yeah, I'd hard pipe it, but it's up to you guys.
So we've got the fill requirement, but Tim also has to add in a note that the Board of Health and the engineer has to do an inspection of the soil strip before adding any sand, especially since we're going to be ripping out a couple trenches underneath there.
Right.
The title, he's going to make the Title V design requirement for the 5-bedroom house getting up to the 660.
Right.
We do have an issue that, Bill, you're probably going to have to go out there if we're going to allow this 5 foot to 4 foot separation before this is done. You're going to have to go out and look, because it says that the board member has to be or the board witness has to be a soil evaluator if we're going to give this water table variance.
Yeah.
So,
Tim, get a hold of me at the appropriate time when you got a machine out there. I'll be happy to come out.
All right, I have to get in touch with the property owner for that,
Okay.
because he doesn't have one.
no, well, what you do is do it at the time that you're starting to work on a system or something.
Yeah. Don't do it separately. Yeah, do it when you're doing.
I
the
see. Oh, okay. All right,
system.
I get it.
No.
that's
Don't
no
be spending money for nothing.
Right.
And he's already
Okay.
done the permission for the placement of the fill. So the question is, right now for us as a board, are we going to do you want to see him make the change that he's going to do on the drawing that's substantial, is that the trenches, the 3 trenches, are going to end up probably growing, each of them by either 1
Well,
or 2.
They're now, I'm using 11 rather than 9, so that each trench is growing by 8 feet. Actually, 9 feet
Okay.
if you add the extra foot. So I'm adding 11 modules per trench, so that's 33. I only
Yeah.
need 30, so I'm 3 over what I actually need.
So do you, if, the first, are we
It-
gonna,
it
are
is-
we gonna approve this? That's the first question, Bill and Lee. And the second is, are we gonna wait to approve it, for 2 weeks? Or are you guys gonna allow me to say, once I see the electronic drawing, that I tell Colleen she can sign off on? So the first one is, are we gonna allow this to be done?
Well, you good with it, Dick?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, I think that's
fine.
that's reasonable.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Very good,
So
Tim.
are we
Okay, we'll
gonna, are you guys
be in
gonna let
contact with
me,
me. Thank you.
are you gonna let me tell Colleen to sign it once I've seen it and it's okay?
Yeah, yes, sure.
Okay. Alan, you're there
Yes.
patiently. We approved yours.
All right, Dick, I'm signing off. Thank you very much.
Okay, have a good night,
Okay,
Tim.
all right, bye, Tim.
All right,
So
bye, Bill.
Alan,
Bye, Lee.
we assign, we,
Gotcha.
actually, there's a third thing that we didn't do yet. That we approved the 114 Morgan Street, subject to fill and trenches.
Thank you.
We extended the April of 2027 on Bachelor Street. The next one, you had a question, and that's at Cindy's. And we had talked as a board, Lee and Bill, Alan has got a tank coming out of the building at Cindy's within, so that the inlet of the tank is within 4 inches of what Alan called the water table, but he based it on not looking in the holes right there. And what we had said, and I talked to Alan afterwards, I said, gee, if it's something that's that close at the time that we're doing the installation, somebody needs to be looking and make sure that it isn't 4 inches higher and we're gonna put the inlet of these tanks underwater, or that there's plenty safe. So somebody at the time of the installation or before, I guess you could, if we're worried about it, you go.
Dick, can
go
I
out
speak
with
to
a
that?
shovel. Yeah, so that's
Yeah,
what
so-
that's your third.
Yeah, no, it's all set. The contingency will be dealt with. As a matter of fact, you don't even know this yet, but after we're done tomorrow, if it goes smoothly on Carver, Josh was gonna ask if you wouldn't mind, well, or we could go over there after the other one too, but, we could take a quick look and call you or take pictures or whatever you want, but we'll verify that it is level ground, but we'll verify that the elevation's the same as what we called out in the field.
So then we'll be safe. We'll
Yeah.
know that we're not gonna flood that system.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll
Okay.
we'll address that.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it looked like I think you may have saw what looked like I was attending the meeting, but I last minute, I was asked by Belchertown to speak to some issues of gross alpha detection in bedrock wells. And so I had to attend that meeting at the same time.
Fine, because we
Yeah.
typically go through this thing and
Yeah,
we go over
yeah.
my reviews before your time comes anyways.
okay.
So we're set.
Thank you, and I'll see you in the morning.
Okay. Okay.
All right,
Yep.
Alan. Thank
Thanks, bye.
Take care.
Now we go to our next item is, let's see, this is a permit, there's a food truck permit for the Thai place. They obviously have a base of operation, and this is to operate a mobile food server. It looks like it's gonna be, also it's gonna go out at the wine house. Are we gonna approve this subject to Lynn going and inspect it?
Yeah, the
It
base of
doesn't-
operations is gonna be the restaurant in South Hadley, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So where is she
Yeah,
gonna go? To Granby or South Hadley?
You'll have to call these people and say, where does she wanna be?
Okay, so that she could inspect at either location then, okay.
Yeah,
That's
could.
fine.
I'm okay too, Colleen.
Okay,
The next one is a renewal. And it's a disposal works construction permit, installer's permit for Wilson Construction, Peter Wilson from Pelham, and he's had it before. Are we okay with that one?
Yes.
Yes.
I am too, Colleen, so that's approved.
okay.
The next one I have, I'm just gonna be out of this one. I'm gonna say I'm in conflict. This is my sister-in-law, the executor of this estate. It's 9 North Street. We've got a system, an as-built sign off a COC from Neil Jackson. It was signed. He's got drawings, so I can't. That's what we have. I'm not going to discuss it.
Well, I know, from being on site that Josh and Leo Krugler both installed this thing. Alan Weiss engineered and everything came out, as per design. There's no issue there, Bill.
That's fine, Lee, yeah, whatever, that's good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay, so I think we should just accept it and, you know, go down that path. I think we're fine all the way around.
Okay, the next one we have. Bill, that you can probably just talk a second on it. It's Taylor Street. It's across from number 288, the bags of trash. Just an update.
Oh, I met with Ryan Voiland and his operator, his compost operator last Saturday. Colleen, I have a copy of their DEP compost permit. They have a compost permit. I believe the permit requires them to be on the order of 100 or 200 feet off the road. They're more than 300 feet off the roadway. I did notice a lot of bright colored vegetables. They gather their food waste from many sources, including Belchertown school system. And I noticed a lot of bright colored vegetables, carrots, green peppers, red peppers, apples, that sort of thing. And of course, the crows have good eyes, as do hawks. And once the crows see those bright colored vegetables, they swoop right in. So as a first order recommendation, I recommended that they increase the size of their covering tarps so they cover up all the material and not shortchange their tarps. Apparently what they were using as tarps, they weren't quite large enough for their compost piles. And a lot of this bright colored material was leaking out on the edges. So let's see if the the larger tarps do a better job of keeping the crows at bay. But I did personally see the permit. It actually highlighted food waste, Dick, and
Yeah.
as you know, being from your experience in chemistry, is they got to watch their carbon nitrogen ratios.
Yeah.
So they have to kind of be very careful as to how they put this concoction together. And one thing that I was somewhat surprised is that they do put in some cardboard food containers from time to time. And Colleen, you sent me a photo of some of those, didn't you?
Yes, that's what I was
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
ask.
I did
yeah.
see some of those in the waste stream. So,
Mm.
so I don't know. I said, well, I'm going to talk to the board about that. Because their checkoff sheet on their permit said food waste. It did not say recyclable cardboard. Again, the cardboard containers had a recycle one triangle on it. So it was a
So
clearly
they were not biodegradable material. It just said recycle.
well, they claim they're biodegradable. So that's a point of interest. They claim they're biodegradable.
Are they in bags, Bill? Are there a lot of
Oh, no,
bags?
I didn't see any bags. No,
Okay.
they're just lightweight, grayish. They
Mm,
look like egg containers, essentially.
mhm.
Interesting. That certainly,
Supposedly they contribute favorably to their nitrogen carbon ratio that they're seeking, and they just leave them in there. So
I
that's
would
something we
expect
got to
it,
keep
Bill,
an
if
eye
they're,
on.
as long as they're not, loaded with wax and glue
Oh,
and
no,
stuff that
no, absolutely not. No.
it's cellulose. If you were doing this in your backyard, you could put leaves in your compost without any trouble. It would work
Right,
fine.
right. Yeah, the ones that I saw, Dick, they had no wax, they had no plastic. They were essentially like egg cartons. They were essentially
Yeah.
like egg cartons.
Okay, so you're gonna kind of stay after that one.
I'll keep tabs on that.
Okay,
And
let's
Colleen,
do it.
the next time the neighbor at 288 calls,
Mhm.
if he has any more concerns, have him give us a call again, okay?
Okay,
Okay, thank
Let's
you.
do a quickie to get, Bruco Liquor. We're holding up, some of his permits. He's now got a report from Quabbin. We did ask him to get it tested, his well tested. And he's done bacterial tests saying they're absent. Are we at the point that we should just, grant his licenses?
I think as far as I've read, everything was brought up to our requirements.
Dick,
Are you okay?
Dick, to rehash that, what was the original issue?
They ran out of water.
Oh, that's right. Okay,
Their well went dry
okay.
and I'm not sure that they actually fixed anything, that the water in the drought went down. And I guess maybe as a board, should we be just paying attention, and if it goes down again, we just tell them that, look at this well is not a stable well, you need to put a deep well in.
Dick, do they have a suction well, a jet pump well, or a deep well, a submersible pump?
Oh, I think they've got just a shallow well.
Okay,
And
so
then
it's probably
their
less than
system,
25 feet then.
I think they have a tight tank, Bill.
Ah, okay, okay.
But they're in a spot that is probably, my thought would be maybe we should, just keep watching it, because we didn't come out, we should be out of the drought right now, and in reality, I saw yesterday that we're still in a pretty medium level drought.
Doesn't surprise me.
But are we in a spot that he does have water, his system works, he's had it tested, that I hate to have the guy sitting there trying to do business without licenses.
Yeah, no, as long as he's got water and it's tested in past muster, I think everything's good.
Are you okay too, Bill, Lee, with that?
I am, yes.
Okay, Colleen, so we can give him that.
okay, all right.
The next, we are now at 7:35. I don't know if Diane Percy is here. I don't see her.
I'm
So
here.
oh, you are.
Okay.
I am.
Okay, Dave's here and Diane's here. We're all set.
So your goal was going to be to come back this week and tell us what you were planning on doing as a term. The board doesn't know it yet, but I've got a perk test scheduled with Alan on this property for Friday.
Yes, Mr. Weiss said he would be there at 11:30 on Friday to do a perk test.
So Diane, are you telling us that you're moving to the next accept to have him do the perk and get started with the design? Is that what you're thinking right now?
That is correct.
Okay. The Bill and Lee are, for me, that's perfectly acceptable. We're moving exactly the way we should move. And, what else would like? Are we okay with this with Diane, or do we want to be doing anything?
I think, Dave, are you okay with it? David? I guess he can't hear us.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I had the audio off.
Again, I think,
No, can you hear me now?
yeah,
Yes,
oh yeah,
we
go
can.
ahead, Dave.
I'm fine with it. I think they're moving in the right direction and moving forward is the thing to do.
Okay, all right, good enough. Okay, thank you. Yeah, okay, Dick, I think we're good. Lee, if you're good, we're
Lee,
all good.
you also on board?
Yeah, this is exactly what we discussed. It's the right thing at the right time. It's, as it turns out, it's the high water table, even though there is a drought. But yeah, I fully support going forward, and get this thing tested, designed, and in the ground. Absolutely.
Okay. So Diane, we're all set.
Great.
Keep us up to date, and I'll talk to Alan to see what his general schedule is. But I have to be careful because Alan doesn't report to me, reports to you, and I'm not running the project. If Alan tells me this is what we should expect, what I really, if I'm out there, the right thing for me to do is to just wait for you to come back to us and say, okay, I've talked to the engineer, here's his schedule here, unless you tell him that he can talk to me about it. He's your engineer, he's not our engineer.
Okay, I understand that.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Okay, good night.
Thank you.
The next thing that we have is, we've got the animal inspector, and we've got to nominate, actually, Colleen, looks like Colleen even filled out the paperwork for it. Let
Yes,
me look at,
they
I've
do.
got
They
the-
do. And then if there's changes, we can change it, but
so what Colleen is got is that that we still have Tom Fleabot as the animal inspector, and his assistant is Kim Goldsmith. Are we okay with that, and we nominate the both of them?
Yeah, there's no conflict with the business, as I understand it. In other words, Tom will do that side of the work, and that way it doesn't appear that Kim is the assistant and she's in a competitor's, you know where I'm going with this thing.
Yeah, what we
right.
did last year when we did this is we said that Kim couldn't be in a spot, especially where it's talking about dogs and cats, and that
Right.
she can't end up directing any business towards her business. That's how we did it last year.
Okay, perfect. Yep.
Bill, how are you with this?
Yeah, well, Tom's been in there 35 years now.
Is that right?
Well, yeah, because he took over for Giles,
Yeah.
right?
And
that-
he's having some trouble moving around. He actually had a bad knee operation, and bad enough that it actually cost him his job. He was working at Solution, and apparently it bothered him so much that he couldn't do it very well. But he still manages to do this, and the last time I talked to him, he was happy with this job, and
Good,
And,
that's great. Well, I'm glad to have both of them on board again.
So Colleen, that's what
Very-
happened. We both all
Okay.
agreed with that.
Okay, sounds good.
It looks like the water table, oh, we got two things before I forget. Colleen has pointed out to us that it is possible that we only have one more of these remote meetings that are legal.
I saw that, Dick. The governor didn't
And-
give us much of a heads up, did they?
No, that there's some things that are happening. The first one is it looks to me like the governor feels so strongly about it that she's pushing to make it mandatory that all boards and meetings go have a remote feature. That not just you can do it, you must do it. So,
So that we must do remote, we must have hybrid meeting capability?
yeah, that's what
Okay.
that's what I was reading. So,
Okay.
but I think this runs out on the right now, the 25th, which would put it that if we meet Tuesdays from now, it would be our last meeting. Let's hope that that doesn't happen. So do
Okay.
we, in terms of our next meeting, do we want to do the next meeting on the Tuesday, the 25th, and meet 15 minutes early again?
That's fine.
Lee?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah,
we're
for
gonna
sure.
do that. But Colleen ought to be in a spot that we better get ourselves a meeting spot for 2 weeks after that. Now, Bill, are you going to be in let's say 2 weeks after, let me look at my calendar.
Well, Dick, first of all, I recommend that we meet at the Carnegie Building. It's a nice airy building.
Okay, what we were gonna do it the last time is we were gonna meet at the public safety complex, which is a big area.
Well,
Thing, but-
I think Carnegie's about 5 times the volume. Carnegie has 14-foot ceilings, Dick.
Okay,
It's a beautiful building and we can open the windows in the summer if you'd like.
okay. So if we
The
look at-
police station building is fine too, but again, if we get a bunch of people in there, I don't know if the airflow is that great.
Yeah, let's see if this thing can work out. So let's first look, so that would be April 8th. Is that gonna be a conservation? That's a second Tuesday, Bill.
Yeah, we actually met last night and we posted our next meeting for the 8th, so that's gonna be a problem for me personally.
So if we tell Colleen to find a meeting room for us, do we put it for the 9th? That
We could do
Wednesday.
that. Yeah, and I'm hoping that Carnegie would be available for the 9th if you want to meet there. Again, it's up to you guys, but I think
Lee,
that
are
might
you
be
okay
available.
with the 9th, Wednesday the 9th?
Oh, sure. Yep.
Okay. Well, hopefully this is all straightened out. The next question I have for you guys is I dug out the letter that we sent the last time to try to get people to okay this thing. Do we want to, it looked like it's a pretty generic letter that still works. I sent it out for discussion. Do we want Colleen to take that letter and send it out to all the reps and the governor and, just send it to everybody? Do we want to do that again?
Yeah,
I would
I'd
support that for sure.
I'd support that, Dick. Of course, the timing isn't the greatest, because if you looked at the Sunday New York Times last weekend, there was a big article about Fauci and how closing of the schools may have been incorrect, but we're gonna run into a little bit of pushback. But again, if the governor, if Healy is on our team on this, that should be fine.
They really are, that most
Good.
people are saying that they get way better participation.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
So you
Well, you
want,
can figure, at least for us, that we've, our meetings get posted by doing it this way. Our whole meeting is posted every time we meet. People can look at our whole meeting and see what goes on, and they can come and see us. They can be with us, and when
Mhm.
if we just meet in a room together, all you have is, if you're there, you see it, and you read our notes, and that's it.
Right. And
So,
again, Alan would have to drive in from Belchertown. Tim would have to drive in from wherever he's from. And again, it's a lot of nighttime driving for folks,
yeah.
Mhm.
which I'm not in
Yeah,
favor
and
of.
for sure, like on a night like this, I wouldn't be in front of you guys with the flu.
Oh,
That wouldn't be a very nice thing to do to anybody.
Yeah.
But,
mhm.
okay, so Colleen, that's what we'll do. So we
Send out the
got,
letter. Mhm.
yeah,
Send out
send
the
it,
letter. Yep.
really
I'll do
send
what
it
I did
out, send
last
it to
time.
the Attorney General, send it
Yeah.
to all the state reps and the senators,
Yeah.
we'll just send it out.
I'll do what I did last time. And you want the old library for the next meeting? Not the next meeting, but the one after that, April 9th?
If we can.
Yeah, if
Okay.
it's available. Yeah, talk to Kathy. I think Kathy's in
Yeah, I
charge
will.
of that.
Yeah, I'll call her. Yep.
Okay.
Okay,
The last thing that I have is this letter that we've all got from Raymond Morissette about the wine house. We discussed this the last meeting, and once again, the people are saying, how can the Board of Health okay food sales and whatever all the activity that's out there, and give permits for that when supposedly there are issues about whether they should legally be able to be there. And what we said last week is that the Board of Health has things we're supposed to look at, and not be looking at whether they have the license from another board to be working. That we said that's the other board's issue, but ours has to be, if someone is serving food someplace, that it's got to be safe. And from our standpoint, we have to look and bring our expertise and our rules to it, and that we would not be saying we won't inspect because we don't think there's a license, that in fact may be a court that determines that. And do we have a different feeling this week than that, or
Like
will we
Brian
just
said,
stay the course?
stay in our lane. We're not the systems approver. We're gonna approve septic systems, wells, and foodstuffs, and that's it, period. That's our job.
Lee, what is your thought?
no, I agree. I'm not happy with, concept of this whole thing with different boards not addressing these issues as they come forward for whatever reason. I don't know their schedule, they don't know mine. But yeah, the point is well taken, that we work in a certain structure, and outside of that structure, it's not our authority or expertise to overstep our bounds.
So we agree with that. But now let's go into ours, where Colleen very nicely has a tickler for us. And it says, we are in our world now, and that operation was supposed to be giving us a timeline for when they were putting that holding tank in.
That's correct.
That is in our lane.
Well, is the tank in yet?
No,
Nothing.
I'm not even sure there's a permit taken out for it, but
Well, didn't we approve a septic design for that project?
I don't think it, I can't remember. We must have
We
approved
approved
something.
it. There was at least the approval of the 2,000 gallon and the 1,500 gallon tanks to be installed.
Well, that's right, yeah, because I remember Neil had a couple of tanks. One was from the house and one was from the wine house itself,
Right,
Yeah.
right? So
And
he must have had
something
some
in the
sort
back of my
design.
mind
Yeah,
that it was supposed to be in by, you know, in and done prior to St. Patrick's Day or some other theoretical time frame. Of
Yeah.
course, I'm a little concerned about the lack of energy going forward to get from approval to actual construction. Since our last summer, as we all know, come and gone, and nothing to show for it.
we had a permit that was, it wasn't a full year permit that we granted on this one. Do you know? Since you're not at your desk, it's hard for you to tell. But do you remember when it was? It seems to me like it could easily have been in April.
I think it was. It was not a full year, Dick. It was either 3 months or 6 months, I recall.
I don't have the file with me, but
No, and it's maybe you can look that up, but
But it'd be in the
But-
minutes.
it's okay. But I guess that's the one where we have the teeth. Is maybe Colleen can get a hold of Jim and say, you know, that you only have a temporary permit, and it's dependent on you getting this, making progress on this, and we're just seeing no progress.
Right.
yeah, I think it was till June is his permit.
I think you're right. I think June.
I think it was June. Yeah.
June.
But at least if you get in touch with them and say, you know, that won't be an easy thing for Jim to deal with if he doesn't get that permit from us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you want from him a timeline of when he's putting that tank in?
That's right, and get it
Mhm.
hooked up.
Yep. Okay.
I can understand that he says, you know, it was really hard. I just trying to work on that site with that high water table in the winter. It's a mess to try to do it, but now it's the time that he probably can do it. So what else do we have here?
Might
I
be
think
it.
we're good.
I think that's about it tonight.
Okay. So hopefully we get the remote meetings continuing.
Yeah, that would be a definite plus.
I hope so. Dick, you got the flu?
I got the flu. What
Ugh.
happened
Oh,
is my son brought it into the house, and we thought we were going to be okay and make it escape. And we didn't. But we got on Tamiflu right away, like within 12 hours. And actually I thought I was going to be okay, but and I've been pretty good. But today I didn't sleep last night, and today I've got up with a 102 fever, and I said, gee, this is 4 days into it, and I thought I'd be on the way out. And I just listening to my wife upstairs coughing, so the two of us have it.
Mm.
You know, you're right though, Dick, because if one of us is ill, it would be irresponsible for us to go to a meeting in a building knowing that we're ill.
We could, that would be terrible.
That's right.
Even
You
if
wouldn't go, I wouldn't go, Lee wouldn't go, Colleen wouldn't go.
No,
No,
no.
And
No.
again,
So
that's
this-
another reason to keep these remote meetings.
Mm.
but as we all know, sometimes our guests at these live meetings didn't share the same spirit of what we're talking about right now.
Well, that's another problem, because if I'm in conservation meeting and someone comes in coughing, I put my mask on immediately.
Yeah,
You have to,
Of
yeah.
course, I'm the
Yeah.
only one in the room with a mask on, but that's the way it goes.
yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah,
So
I get it.
it is a kind of a mess, especially in the winter time like this and flu season. And so the good thing is that my sister-in-law works at the sewage treatment plant in Chicopee, and she said and they do tests, and they said RSV is down near zero, COVID is now dropped almost to zero, and they said that the flu is starting to drop off. So
Oh, they test that in the waste stream?
yeah, it's a leading indicator,
Wow, wow.
and they can
Yeah,
see
yeah.
it, and they not only do they test it, but they've got the correlation looking at the number of people that use the system, that they can tell the concentration of the disease, and they can tell how much disease there is in the community.
Wow, wow,
And
Yep.
it's a leading indicator.
wow, that's pretty sharp. Wow.
So they do that. So anyway, that's where we are. And
Okay.
I hope you feel better, Dick.
Okay,
yeah,
feel well.
I hope
Okay.
so. And I was good enough to go on perk test this week. My knee was good enough, so stuff is working.
Good. The knee's working well
That's
anyway.
good.
That's important.
That's good.
Okay.
That's important.
Okay,
Have a
guys.
good night,
evening.
everybody.
Okay,
Thank
good
you.
night.
Yeah,
Good
bye.
night,
Bye,
folks.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye, bye.